Good day, I'm Aliyah Jane Camilo and I, together with my groupmates, are here to discuss and present Civil Engineering Code of Ethics. First off, what is Code of Ethics in relation with civil engineering? So the Code of Ethics is the foundation of the application of the civil engineering profession to the client and the public at large. So civil engineering is technical by nature. Alam naman natin na it involves complex concepts, evaluation, calculation, and the design to implement a project. So yung civil engineer, nag-interact siya sa public and to their people and other clients. So doon na pumapasok yung ethics at kung paano ba to na-apply sa professional and personal life. So it is also established as a guide for professionals in ethical dilemmas. Fundamental principles. So meron tayong apat na fundamental principles. Engineers uphold and advance the integrity, honor, and dignity of the engineering profession. By first is using their knowledge and skills para sa enhancement ng human welfare and ng environment. Second is by being honest and impartial and serving with fidelity to the public, their employers, and sa clients. Third is by striving to increase the competence and prestige of the engineering profession. Last is by supporting the professional and technical societies of their disciplines. So meron tayong 7 na fundamental canons. Yung una is engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and shall strive to comply with the principles of sustainable development in the performance of their professional duties. So sabi dito, yung safety, health, and welfare ng public is nakadepende sa practice tsaka decision na gagawin ng engineers. Yung second is engineers shall perform only yung services na sakop lang ng area of competence nila. Yung third, engineers shall issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. Fourth, engineers shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees and shall avoid conflict of interest. 5 is engineers shall build their professional reputation and shall not give or receive any contributions, direct manner or indirectly. 6, engineers shall act in such manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the engineering profession, and shall act with zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption. Last is engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall provide opportunities para naman sa mga professional development ng engineers na under ng supervision nila. So yung 7 na fundamental canons na to, may mga under pa to and iyon naman yung i-discuss ng ibang reporters.
My name is Ronel A. Panglao. Guidelines to practice under the Fundamental Canon of Ethics. The guidelines of the practice are intended to provide guidance, examples, and clarification of what is intended by the fundamental principles and fundamental canons. Canon 1. Engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and shall strive to comply with the principles of sustainable development in the performance of their professional duties. A. Engineers shall recognize that the lives, safety, health, and welfare of the general public are dependent upon engineering judgment, decision, and practices incorporated into structures, machines, products, processes, and devices. Sinasabi dito na dapat tayo mga engineer, ma-recognize natin na yung buhay, kaligtasan, at kalusugan, at saka po yung welfare of the general public ay nakasalalay sa ating desisyon. Letter B. Engineers shall approve or seal only those design documents reviewed or prepared by them, which are determined to be safe for public health and welfare in conformity with accepted engineering standards. Dapat po sinasabi dito na tayo mga engineers yung ina-approve lang po natin or yung sisid lang po natin is yung only design documents or reviewed o tayo po mismo yung nag-prepare na makakatulong sa safety ng public health. C. Engineers whose professional judgment is overruled under circumstances where the safety, health, and welfare of the public are endangered or the principle of sustainable development ignored shall inform their clients or employers of the possible consequence. Sinasabi naman po dito na dapat tayong mga engineers ma-inform natin yung mga clients natin na kapag na-overload nila yung mga circumstances na mapatakaran sa atin, may kaakibat itong consequences. Letter D. Engineers who have knowledge or reason to believe that another person or firm may be in violation of any of the provisions of Canon 1 shall present such information to the proper authority in writing and shall cooperate with the proper authority in furnishing such further information or assistance as may be required. Letter E. Engineers should seek opportunities to be constructive service in civic affairs and work for the advancement of the safety, health, and well-being of the communities and the protection of the environment through the practice of sustainable development. Letter F. Engineers should be committed to improving the environment by the adherence to the principles of sustainable development so as to enhance the quality of life of the general public. Sinasabi naman dito na tayong mga engineers dapat maging committed tayo na lalo pa natin mapaganda yung ating mga kapaligiran. Canon 2. Engineers shall perform services only in the areas of their competence. A. Engineers shall undertake to perform engineering assignments only when qualified by education or experience in the technical field of engineering involved. Sinasabi dito na tayong engineers ay magpe-perform lang tayo ng mga proyekto na kung saan qualified lang tayo by education. Letter B. Engineers may accept an assignment requiring education or experience outside of their own fields of competence, provided their services are restricted to those phases of the project in which they are qualified. All other phases of such project shall be performed by qualified associates, consultants, or employees. Sinasabi dito na ang engineer ay pwede mag-accept ng project na nag-require na experience na wala sa field of competence nila. Ngayon, pwede tayong mag-hire ng qualified consultant para doon. C. Engineers shall not affix their signatures or seals to any engineering plan or document dealing with subject matter in which they lack competence by virtue of education or experience or to any such plan or document not reviewed or prepared under the supervisory control. Sinasabi dito na yung engineer ay bawal silang pumirma sa any engineering plan or document na hindi sakop or hindi na-review ng supervisor. Thank you.
Hello, good day. I'm Abdel Dizon, next reporter. So, Canon 3. Engineers shall issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. So, ang mga engineer daw ay dapat maglabas lamang ng mga pahayag pampubliko sa isang layunin at totoo na pamamaraan. Letter A. Engineers should endeavor to extend the public knowledge of engineering and sustainable development and shall not participate in the dissemination of untrue, unfair, or exaggerated statements regarding the engineering. So, sabi sa letter A, dapat daw ang mga engineer ay hindi nagpapakalat ng mga maling detalye or yung mga exaggerated statements na kundi nagsasabi lamang ng mga tamang impormasyon pagdating sa engineering. So, letter B. Engineers shall be objective and truthful in professional reports, statements, or testimony. They shall include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony. So, sabi sa letter B, ang mga engineers daw ay dapat hindi nagbe-base sa kanilang mga personal feelings or personal na desisyon at maging professional pagdating sa mga reports, mga kanilang statements, sa mga datas na kanilang nilalabas. So, letter C. Engineers when serving as expert witnesses shall express an engineering opinion only when it is founded upon adequate knowledge of facts, upon the background of technical competence, and upon honest conviction. So, sabi sa letter C, kapag daw nagbibigay ng mga advice or expertise ang isang engineer, dapat ay nakabase sa kanyang kaalaman about sa engineering at sa kanyang totoong paniniwala. So, letter D. Engineers shall issue no statements, criticisms, or arguments on engineering matters which are inspired or or by paid for by interested parties unless they indicate on whose behalf these statements are made. So, sabi naman sa letter D, ang mga engineer daw ay hindi dapat maglabas ng mga pahayag or mga pamimintas o argument tungkol sa mga usapin sa engineering na hango o binayaran ng mga interesadong partido, maliban kung ipinahiwatig nila kanino ang kinatawan ng mga pahayag na ginawa. So, sabi sa naman sa letter E, engineers shall be dignified and modest in explaining their work and merit and will avoid any act tending to promote their own interest at the expense of the and dignity of the profession. Sabi naman sa letter E, ang mga engineer daw ay dapat maging marangal at mainhin sa pagkapaliwanag ng kanilang trabaho upang maiwasan ang anumang kilos na may kaugaliang itaguyod ang kanilang sariling interes sa kapinsalaan ng integridad, karangalan at dignidad ng propesyon. So, next is Canon 4. Canon 4. Engineers shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees and shall avoid conflicts of interest. Sabi naman sa Canon 4, ang mga engineer daw ay dapat kumilos sa mga profesional na bagay para sa bawat empleyado o kliyente bilang tapat sa mga ahente o katiwala upang maiwasan ang mga salungatan ng interes. So, sabi naman sa letter A, engineers shall avoid all known or potential conflicts of interest with their employers or clients and shall promptly inform their employers or clients of any business association, interest, or circumstances which could influence their judgment or quality of their services. Sabi sa A, dapat daw iwasan ng mga inhinyero ang lahat ng mga ng kilala o potensyal na salungatan ng interes sa kanilang mga empleyado o mga kliyente at agad na ipaalam sa kanilang mga empleyado at kliyente upang ang anumang asosasyon sa negosyo, interest o pangyayari na maaaring maka-influence sa kanilang paghusga o sa kalidad ng kanilang mga serbisyo. Letter B. Engineers shall not accept compensation from more than one party or services on the same project or the services pertaining the same project unless the circumstances are fully disclosed to and agreed to by all interested parties. So, sabi naman sa letter B, mga engineers daw ay hindi dapat tumanggap ng kabayaran mula sa higit isang partido para sa mga serbisyo sa iisang proyekto o para sa mga serbisyong nauukol sa iisang proyekto maliban kung ang mga pangyayari ay buong isiwalat at sinang-ayunan ng lahat ng mga interesadong partido. So next is letter C. Engineers shall not solicit or accept gratuities directly or indirectly from contractors, their agents, or other parties dealing with other clients or employers in connection with work which they are responsible. So sabi sa letter C, ang mga engineers daw ay hindi dapat humingi o tumanggap ng mga solicit, direkta man o hindi direkta mula sa kanilang mga contractor, mga agent o iba pang partido na ikipag-usap sa kanilang mga kliyente o sa mga empleyado na may kaugnayan sa trabaho kung saan sila responsable. So next is letter D. So letter D. Engineers in public services are service as members, advisors, and employees of a governmental body or department shall not participate in considerations or actions with respect to services solicited or provided by them or their organization in private or public engineering practice. So, sabi sa letter D, ng mga engineer sa serbisyong pampubliko bilang mga kasapi or tagapayo at empleyado ng isang pamahalaang katawan o sa kanilang mga departamento ay hindi dapat pagsa, lumahok sa mga pagsasaalang-alang o aksyon patungkol sa mga serbisyong hinihingi o ibinigay ng kanilang mga samahan sa pribado, pampubliko, na kasanayan sa engineering. So next is letter E. Engineers shall advise their employers or clients when, as a result of their studies, they believe a project will not be successful. So sabi sa letter E, dapat daw ang mga engineers ay i-advise sa kanilang mga ahente, sa mga empleyado, kung kailan kung kailan at kung ano ang magiging resulta ng kanilang study or kung naniniwala sila na hindi magiging matagumpay ang kanilang project. So, next is letter F. Engineers shall not use confidential information coming coming to them in the course of their assignments as a means of making personal profit if such action is adverse to the interests of their clients, employers, or the public. So, sabi naman sa letter F, ang mga engineers daw ay hindi dapat gumamit ng mga confidential na impormasyon na darating sa kanila sa kurso ng kanilang mga assignment or isang paraan ng paggawa ng personal na kita kung ang naturang pagkilos ay masama sa interes ng kanilang mga kliyente, mga taga-empleyado or ang publiko. So next is letter G. Engineers shall not accept professional employment outside of their regular work or interest without the knowledge of their employers. Sabi naman sa letter G, ang mga engineers daw ay tuma- hindi dapat tanggapin ang professional na trabaho sa labas ng kanilang regular na trabaho o interest nang walang kaalaman ng kanilang mga empleyado. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rica Celeste. Canon 5. Engineers shall build their professional reputation on the merit of their services and shall not compete unfairly with others. A. Engineers shall not give, solicit, or receive, either directly or indirectly, any political contribution, gratuity, or unlawful consideration in order to secure work, exclusive or securing salary position through employment agency. Sa A po natin is no bribery or under-the-table transaction. B. Engineers shall negotiate contracts for professional services fairly and on the basis of demonstrated competence and qualification for the type of professional services required. Sabi po natin is professionalism and fairness. If you're doing works, you should be fair and just. C. Engineers may request, propose, or accept professional commissions on a contingent basis only under circumstances in which their professional judgments will not be compromised. Sa C po natin, it means that engineers should know and practice the proper way of earning through commission. Dito po yung quality over quantity. Next po. D. Engineers shall not falsify or permit misrepresentation of their academic or professional qualification or experience. Sa D po is yung truthfulness. No to falsification of the documents. E. Engineers shall give proper credit for engineering work to those to whom credit is due and shall recognize the proprietary interests of others. Whenever possible, they shall name the person or the persons who may be responsible for the design, invention, writing, or the accomplishment. Dito po is give credits to others' work and contribution. F. Engineers may advertise professionals' services in a way that not contain misleading language or is in any other matter derogatory to the dignity of that profession. Example of the permissible advertising are as follow. Number 1 is professional cards in recognized dignify publication and listing in rosters or directories published by responsible organization, provided that the cards or listing are consistent in size and content and are in a section of a publication regularly devoted to such professional cards. Next. Brochures, which factually describe experience, facility, personnel, and capacity to render service, providing they are not misleading with respect to the engineer's participation in project described. Next po is display advertising and recognize dignified business and professional publication, providing it is factual and is not misleading with respect to the engineer's extent of participation in project described. Next, a statement of the engineer's name or the name of the firm and statement of the type of service posted on projects for which they render services. Next, preparation or authorization of descriptive articles for the lay or technical press, which are factual and dignified. Such article shall not imply anything more than direct participation in the project described. Next po is permission by our engineers for their name to be used in commercial advertisement such as may be published contracts, material supplier, etc. Only by means of a modes dignified notation acknowledging the engineer's participation in the project described. Such permission shall not include public endorsement of proprietary products. Dito po sa F is yung be truthful in advertising your works or services. G. Engineer shall not malicious or falsely, directly or indirectly injure the professional reputation, prospect, practice, or employment of other engineer or indiscriminately criticize others' work. Sa G po is huwag siraan yung other professional just to show you are better. Work fair and square. H. Engineers shall not use equipment, supplies, laboratory, or office facilities of their employers to carry on outside private practice without the consent of their employers. Sa H po is do not use office materials for personal use without permission of the employer. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Raystar Vasquez. Canon 6. Engineers shall act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the engineering profession and shall act without zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption. Letter A. Engineers shall not knowingly engage in business or professional practices of a fraudulent, dishonest, and unethical nature. Sa letter A, the engineer is not being himself, giving false name and signature, and giving false contracts. Letter B, engineers shall be scrupulously honest in their control of and spending of monies and promote effective use of resources through open, honest, and impartial service with fidelity to the public, employers, associates, and clients. Sa letter B, the engineers shall not spend too much or too less and be true and loyal to the people and partners. Letter C, engineers shall act with zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption in all engineering or construction activities in which they are engaged. Sa letter C, the engineers shall not be unwavered by money and power. Next. Letter D. Engineers should be especially vigilant to maintain appropriate ethical behavior where payments of gratuities or bribes are institutionalized practices. Sa letter D, the engineer should be observant in every situation that is inclined in an ethical matter that contradicts to the law. Letter E, engineers should strive for transparency in the procurement and execution of projects. Transparency includes disclosure of names, addresses, purposes, and fees or commissions paid for all agents facilitating projects. Sa letter E, the engineer should always have records of projects and data. Letter F, engineers should encourage the use of certifications specifying zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption in all contracts. Sa letter F, the engineer should always abide with the contract. Next. Canon 7. Engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall provide opportunities for the professional development of those engineers under their supervision. Letter A. Engineers should keep current in their specialty fields by engaging in professional practice, participating in continuing education courses, reading in the technical literature, and attending professional meetings and seminars. So letter A, the engineer shall be willing to improve their profession together with the advancement of the technology through seminar and workshops. Letter B, engineers should encourage their engineering employees to become registered at the earliest possible date. So letter B, if you're an engineer already affiliated with other organization and you have a fresh grad in your company, then as a senior, you have to motivate them and be affiliated as such. It is because they can benefit by gaining expertise and CPD units. Letter C, engineers should encourage engineering employees to attend and present papers at professional and technical society meetings. Yung letter C, the same siya with letter B. Research is a way to gain CPD units. Letter D. Engineers shall uphold the principle of mutually satisfying relationships between employers and employees with respect to terms of employment, including professional grade descriptions, salary ranges, and fringe benefits. Sa letter D, the engineer is responsible for encouraging the respecting the job of his employees. He should not go beyond the job description.